What's going on, everybody? It's Jay the Black here. I am back with another video. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. Hopefully y'all sharing it, because I'm going to talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce and how they betted on themselves and lost. Okay, now I was watching a video from a YouTuber by the name of, I think his name is Handy Mayhem. I think that's his channel name. Shout out to him. He made a video and he discussed how basically Jay-Z and Beyonce got knocked off the top spot, you know. And it's very interesting because going and looking at the numbers and how they dropped their album right when Nas dropped his. Surprisingly, I don't think it was a surprise. I think they always were going to do this because they wanted to use the good music wave in order to boost themselves. You know, they betted on themselves and they lost because they got knocked out of the top spot by an Australian music group, okay, that nobody has ever heard of. Maybe people in Australia have, but in America, not really. Now, if you look at the numbers, they released their joint album through Tidal Music, Everything Is Love, right? And it has 73 million streams, okay? And it sold 70,000 copies as a full album, which they say brings the numbers to 123,000. And that's not the type of numbers that you would expect from a Jay-Z or Beyonce, even though it was a joint album. I think that Beyonce's fans really didn't care for this album. I think her fans could have boosted this album, but that's what happens when you don't market, when you try to do something just out of the blue, you know. And if you look at the critical analysis of the album, people are talking about how they were taking shots at, you know, Nas and Kanye West, and you even had Beyonce in a song, I believe the name of the song is called Nice. She mentioned how, well, not mentioned, but she basically mocked how she didn't care about streaming numbers. Well, I think you should, Beyonce, because even you being a part of this and Jay-Z being a part of this together, as in a last ditch effort to save Tidal Music, you just weren't able to do it. You weren't able to get the album where it needed to go. Now, people got to understand, I'm a fan of Jay-Z. Put all the politics to the side. I'm a fan of him for his come up and how he's self-made and how he's also one of my favorite rappers. You know? But if you look at how Tidal has been ran, you look at Roc Nation and how people have been disgruntled at Roc Nation because he is not pushing them as much as they thought he was going to. You know, Roc Nation is basically a management company. It's not really even a label like that, you know. This really shouldn't surprise anybody because Tidal does not do those types of numbers. I think people think that streaming service is too expensive for them, and a lot of their favorite artists aren't on Tidal. I think Apple Music is very convenient for a lot of people. Spotify is very convenient. You can go there, stream, sign up for a membership that doesn't cost much. iTunes, you can just buy the songs outright. And when you look at the star power of Jay-Z and Beyonce, I just don't think that is where it was. And I think that they have lost a lot of fans over the last couple of years. I do believe you can bring politics into it. I think you can also look at the fact that Beyonce has her own thing going on. And I think that her fans just aren't gonna support Jay-Z like that. I'm serious. They're not gonna support Jay-Z like that. You know, unless he's, you know, apologizing through an entire album like he kind of did with 444. But I think they were banking on her fans coming out in droves and supporting this, and it just hasn't been that way. You get knocked off the top spot by an Australian rock group that no one's really heard of. And also, when you look at the media has been all over this. They've been showering this album with love and just promoting the shit out of it, and it still has not worked. even though Jay-Z and Beyonce betted on themselves. But I think they miscalculated their own bases. You know, the tour numbers have been down. I just think that people are tired of Jay-Z and Beyonce. I think they do more talking outside of music than they actually do as far as making music. And I think that a lot of people, not a lot of people, I think it's just a segment of people who are casuals, casual Beyonce fans, casual Jay-Z fans, who are kind of put off by their politics. Okay? They are. And I think they've alienated people. People aren't going to their shows. People aren't buying their music. And I just think that people just aren't checking for them like that. And if you look at Beyonce, say what you want about her father, Matthew Knowles, Beyonce was always at the top of her game when she was managed by her father. Ever since Jay-Z has been managing her, her career has been steadily declining. She's been using more and more writers, you know. No creativity. The only creativity that Beyonce puts into her music is when she's mad at Jay-Z. Look at Lemonade. You know, what's the last one she just put out? Let's see. Was it Formation? And then it was Lemonade. Might have been on the same project. Anyway, no, not really on the same project. I'm getting my Beyonce music mixed up because I haven't listened to anything she's put out in a while. But her last couple projects, like the visual album, all aimed at Jay-Z, and it has worked because she has a lot of fans who they feel a certain way about men. You know, she has that feminist audience, and you cannot tell me that same audience that she had that supported her when she put out these last couple projects that she was going at Jay-Z with, you know, you cannot tell me that those same people are gonna now want to support Jay-Z, are now gonna want to buy the album because it's a joint album, are gonna want to go to the live shows with it's her and Jay-Z. Come on, man. You know, I think they overestimated Beyonce's popularity. Just because Beyonce has a hardcore fan base does not mean that fan base is gonna support Jay-Z. They're gonna go to the live shows. They're gonna stream the album. They probably listen to the album, but they're not, you know, they probably listen to it maybe once or twice, but they're not buying the music. They're not really consuming it, you know. And I just think that this was a gamble that hasn't paid off. You know, you tried to compete with Kanye West and it didn't work. You know, Nas still has a successful project. You know, pretty much everybody up until this, I would say until Tiana Taylor, has had a successful project, you know, on good music. You know, Kanye West betted on himself by producing everybody's album that he's put out, and he has pretty much succeeded. You know, his album shot to #1 on a lot of different streaming services and charts. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he betted on himself, and he was successful. Jay-Z and Beyonce saw that. They wanted to bet on themselves, and it did not work out. It may have worked out in the media because the media loves Jay-Z and Beyonce, but if you look at these numbers, it hasn't. And for Beyonce to reference in a song she doesn't care about streaming numbers just shows you how much they do care about streaming numbers. If you are a part of Tidal, you care about streaming numbers, you know? Have y'all noticed that none of these artists that have any type of buzz that is selling music is going to Tidal? I wouldn't go to Tidal either. At first, I was down for Jay-Z wanting to do the streaming service, but you have to have a plan, man. You have to understand your market. You know, you have to understand that, listen, people aren't going to spend, you know, maybe $10 a month for the streaming service. It's brand new. No one knows about it. Let's start the price here, and let's build it up. Add some perks, you know. There was just no strategy in Tidal whatsoever. It was Jay-Z was able to get something at a very low cost, and he renamed it, rebranded it, but he did not bring in people who understood the streaming market. You know, you're bringing in music industry people, but do they understand streaming? Do they understand competition, online competition for music buys and streaming? Even YouTube is getting into it. YouTube is releasing albums. Pretty much every good music project, every album this year, every new album that I've noticed that came out this year has been on YouTube. So YouTube is getting in it. You know, Google Play, you know, Amazon, There's a lot of competition, man. And the thing is that I am a fan of, I'm still a fan of Jay-Z. I don't dislike Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z has been able to himself be sort of like to show, especially younger black men, that you can be self-made and be successful in whatever it is you want to do, whether it be music, whether it be business, you know. Even though, you know, you may not always agree with the politics, but sometimes you have to put that to a side and look at the accomplishments of one person has done. But I just think that this album was a major miscalculation. I think they overestimated Beyonce's fame. I think they overestimated Jay-Z's name. There's no reason why your album should be knocked off the top spot by an Australian rock group, especially if you hadn't been at that particular peak that long. The numbers are extremely low. From what I understand, people are not buying tickets to their live shows. Jay-Z had an issue with people buying tickets to his live shows. And Beyonce has hitched her wagon to Jay-Z. This is why they're not going to break up. I don't care how much he's allegedly caught cheating, because she has hitched her wagon to Jay-Z. She's put her career in his hands, and she cares about being at the top. So now that she's basically hitched her wagon to Jay-Z, she is not going to leave him. I don't care what her fans think that she's going to do or want her to do. She's not leaving Jay-Z. She's betted everything on him being able to move her career forward. And when you look at this double album, some of you may like it, some of you may hate it. It was a miscalculation. They bet on themselves and they didn't win. So